Canada could move $12 billion worth of food and beverage exports to non-U.S. markets, according to a new report by Farm Credit Canada. It's a strategy aimed at reducing our dependence on the U.S. market, which, as you know, remains strained. Joining me now to talk more about how this can be done is Craig Clemar with Farm Credit Canada. Craig, good to speak with you.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be joining you.
I understand this strategy focuses on three key areas. Can you give us an idea of how it's proposed this diversification can happen?
Yeah, when we look at our kind of opportunities, there's three areas we can look at. First of all, it's increasing interprovincial trade. There's been some natural synergies to be moving products north and south, but there's some real opportunities through investment that we can look at doing some more interprovincial trade to help solve part of the problem or the solution. And then if we look at the other things, it's about leveraging the existing trade agreements that we already have. And, we have many of them free trade agreements that makes us very competitive. And then finally, it's about finding new markets that we'd see in the global context and seeing where we can move these products to.
Speaking of new markets, just how dependent are we here in Canada on the U.S. market right now?
Yeah, when it comes to food and beverage products specifically right now, 76% of our exports are going to the U.S. So that's a very, very high percentage, and it makes us very, very susceptible to changes in that relationship. So, if we want to look at something a little bit more balanced and to increase the resiliency of the sector, we're kind of challenging to bring that number somewhere closer to that 50% mark.
What commodities show the most promise when it comes to diversification?
Yeah, so when we look at that, it's going to be the entire system that's going to have to look at doing some of its part, whether that's through interprovincial trade or it's going to be looking for new markets. But when we look at processed foods, for example, those ones there have relatively long shelf life, and those would be one of the areas that we can see some really big opportunities, as well as we look at vegetable oils as an opportunity to be finding new markets for those ones as well.
Given the evolving trade landscape globally, how essential is it for Canada to have a different and a diversified plan moving forward?
Yeah, when we look at it, the United States will always be our most important market. So, it's not really a question about that. It's really how do we build the resiliency, and having, multiple markets and not over-dependence on one is going to help build that strength. Investing in infrastructure, is a great opportunity so that we can bring more of those products internally and secure our food chain domestically. And so consumers are going to benefit from that as well. So overall, I think it's really important that we think about these opportunities and just really preparing ourselves for increasing the resiliency of this system.
Realistically, how quickly could these changes be made?
This is going to take several years. We're talking about, a number of steps that are going to have to take to happen to make this happen. But we need to start right now. And if you kind of look at where we were back in 2018, 67% of our exports went to the United States, and that's increased to 76% to where we are at the end of 2023. So, it's going to be slow, but it's about making progress and finding those new markets and taking advantage of all these great free trade agreements that have been signed, and then looking for those other global trade agreements that we can leverage and lean into to find these new markets. And I think we're well positioned for it. It's just a matter about having the desire and setting that target and working towards it over the next several years.
Well, we appreciate you breaking it all down for us tonight, Craig. Great speaking with you.
Thank you very much.